Hi, I'm Dave Gardy here at IAFC TV studios near Washington, D.C. in preparation for the third FRI pre-event webcast and, of course, FRI later in August in Chicago. With me today in the studio is Mr. Bruce Johnson, who is Director of Fire Service Activities and Government Relations for the International Code Council. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dave, and thanks for having me here.
And on the phone, I have with me here in the studio also Chief Ronny Coleman, the retired State Fire Marshal for the state of California, coming to us from Tucson, Arizona. Ronny, thank you for joining us.
Pleased to be here.
Before we begin, Bruce, give us an overview of what the ICC does and some of its missions.
Certainly, thanks, Dave. The ICC is a membership organization. We have over 50,000 professional building and fire safety advocates around the country, and our mission is to provide model codes that are the basis for state adoption or international adoption, providing a minimum level of safety for buildings, whether it's fire safety, sustainability, energy conservation, and we work to produce a new set of codes every 3 years that keeps up with technology, new building practices, and the latest information so that we're addressing all those issues of safety and sustainability and energy conservation for safety in the built environment.
Excellent. Now, Chief, why is fire prevention an opportunity for fire chiefs?
Well, if you were in almost any other business, one of your #1 priorities would be to manage your risks. And, of course, the fire chief is responsible for managing the risk in a community. And being involved in the code development process is an essential part of framing what the fire problem looks like in a community. My good friend Sean DeCrane often refers to a fire station as a staging area that's just awaiting the fact that we have to go to work someplace else, like in a burning building. And the name of the game with code development is to do two things. One is to raise the level of safety awareness for the community itself, and secondly is to help produce an environment that introduces firefighter safety into the formula. When it comes to the jobs of a fire chief, fire prevention is job one.
Now, what roles can fire chiefs play in model code administration?
Well, in actuality, the fire chief is a pivotal person in terms of code administration. There's many roles they can play, not the least of which is to make sure that their members of their fire prevention bureau are heavily engaged in the code development process at both the local, the regional, the state, and even the national level. Secondarily, it's important that the fire chief themselves be engaged in this process and participate in the educational process of sharing the information. You see, whenever there's the development time frame, there's a lot of opportunity there to introduce new ideas and new concepts into the codes. But the secondary aspect is once the code has been adopted and it's time to go to work with it, the fire chief's job is to help educate and advocate the use of those codes.
But how can fire chiefs focus on fire prevention with so many other priorities?
Well, I will readily admit that that's a problem. You have to remember that Benjamin Franklin was right 300 years ago when he said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And the fire chief has to balance out their time and effort and emphasis on making sure that fire prevention activities and resources are being sustained. I realize that whenever you're in a budget crisis and whatever other things are pounding your desk, it sometimes gets difficult. But the reality is that the code development process is what's shaping that work environment out there in the community, and it's important to keep it as a top priority.
Can you use an example of the green movement and the public demand for energy efficient and sustainable buildings as one of those fire prevention things?
Well, that's interesting you say that mention the green environment, because what the green environment is doing basically is taking a look at how we can keep these buildings from leaking all that energy out into the atmosphere. And when you tighten up a building for purposes of preserving energy, you also tighten it up in terms of how it leaks smoke and how it reacts to a fire condition. And one of the examples that I would use is the fact that building construction technology that is aimed at the green movement also affects the way that we fight fire in these buildings, the way we enter these buildings, the tools we have to use to get into those buildings. For example, we have some new a new breed of drywall that is extremely tough. You can't just batter your way through it like we used to in the old days. And this emerging construction technology requires that we keep abreast of how we actually use our tools and when we combat fire in these buildings.
Excellent. Appreciate the perspective, Chief. Any closing thoughts, Bruce?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. You know, as the Chief was just explaining, the fire service engagement in this process, bringing their expertise and their analysis to the code development process is essential. You know, the code book is just printed pages. You know, I brought one with me, but the words on those pages don't mean anything if we don't have the best experts from around the country helping decide what belongs in that code, vetting all the issues, and ensuring at the end of the day that the safety of the public and the emergency responders is the essence of that minimum code. Without that participation, we don't have that expertise, we don't have that vetting that we need to ensure that the codes are the best that they can be for this country, every state, or any place else that's going to adopt them.
And the ICC will be at FRI, is that right?
Yes, we will. We're going to be there as an exhibitor and participating in the program all week long.
And for more information on the ICC, what website should people go to?
Just visit www.iccsafe.org.
ICCsafe.org.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Bruce Johnson, who's Director of Fire Service Activities for the Government Relations end of ICC, thank you for joining us. And on the phone, Chief Ronny Coleman, who, of course, was a retired state fire marshal for the state of California. Ronny, we appreciate your time. I know it's a little early out there in Arizona this morning.
I had to get up anyway.
Thank you very much. And now back to the FRI pre-event webcast. I'm Dave Gardy. Stay tuned for more as we prepare for FRI 2010.
Hi, this